Recording, thank you.
Good evening, everybody. Don't even know what time it is. It's 6:35, North Santiam Sewer Authority Work Session. The date is April 15th. It's Thursday. And like I said, it's 6:35 p.m. Roll call.
Ken Woodward,
Present.
Joel Parks,
Present.
Tim Kirsch, late. Dale Weesey,
Present.
Shelley Engel is absent. Jeff Huey, absent. Jeff Smith.
Yep.
Janet Zionhall, yep. Danielle Gonzalez,
Here.
okay. So
And it-
absent at this point is Tim Kirsch, Shelley Engel, and Jeff Huey.
Great. And on this particular meeting, we're not necessarily making any decisions. It is just looking at how we can do the board rules and policies. And so this is kind of just our ability to communicate and arm wrestle if we have to over different decision points. And then it'll come to the full board at one of the future meetings to review for the last time and then hopefully approve. So just want to make sure everybody has their copies. I don't know if you guys marked them up or.
They're so nice and pretty. I don't want to mark them up.
They are very nice. I
They
did
are.
mark mine up. And it's mostly just random words here and there. So do we want to start, Joel, do you want to kind of walk us through what your organization is and all that kind of stuff and just kind of talk us through it?
Sure. So actually, I just made some little marks where I think little edits need to be done here and there. So mostly just kind of like I forgot a word here, or I said it's closed meeting, and I think it was supposed to be like public meeting, things like that. So other than that, like substance wise, I think the rules are good the way they are. And so, yeah.
Can I ask you, were those you highlighted different things that should be changed? And when I received it, I went in there and accepted all the changes.
Yeah, and I think this is the copy you sent back to me, and I went through it again today, and I just saw a couple little things, but nothing.
Oh, cool. Cool. Thank you.
Yeah. So I don't know if you guys have it printed out, and I can just kind of walk you through the little things I saw, or what the best method is here.
If we could we go maybe by section?
Okay. So section 1-110 NSSA agenda. Part B, the
I don't
last.
think I have that document.
Oh, okay.
So the first one, he's down on the second paragraph. When I printed mine out, it printed backwards. And so then I was like, why is this all out of whack? I realized I had not put them in right order.
Oh, no.
We should be section 1-100 authority and board officers, correct?
Oh, I didn't have any edits for that section, so.
Okay, cool.
So I do have some.
Okay.
Where it says the North Santiam Sewer Authority is responsible for planning. We can say that responsible for planning and all of that kind of stuff, or we can say intends to, and then it'd be plan, construct. And then I would prefer to put on there future sewer services, because we don't necessarily provide that yet. I think that's a modification that'll have to happen in the future. And then we can strike that.
Okay.
And then specifically for the cities, and then write it out which cities: Detroit, Gates, Idana, Mill City. Just trying to be clear without adding too many words.
Okay, that's great.
And then under C, where it says shall annually elect officers every July, we actually talked about June, so they could be installed in July. And then we put June for service, July through June of the next year, coinciding with the fiscal year. So we don't have to put in all those words, but that I think was the intent of everybody at the time.
Yes. I did attach this to everybody to have a copy, didn't I?
I don't have one.
Okay.
All I have is the work session page.
I did find it. It was buried, so I apologize.
No. See if I can get on it and get something to Jeff Smith right away.
Perfect. Thank you so very much for doing that. And then on C, this is more of a question. This is not a statement. It says the board shall annually elect officers. This officer positions are chair, co-chair, secretary, communications, webmaster, and treasurer. Did we have a co-chair or did we have a vice chair? And then communications and webmaster, we just put it as communications, but it's up to everybody else if they want to change that. I think it was vice chair is what
Okay.
Is
Tim
it vice
is.
chair?
I
That's
believe
what I have.
Okay.
So, and we're gonna say communications and webmaster.
I like it. I just want to make sure
Okay.
it's clear.
Well, I've made some changes to the agenda to take notes, so. Perfect, thank you.
And then did anybody have anything on this section, the first section, section 100? Okay. So I guess then we can go on to the 110. And then Jeff, when you get it and all that, if you see something, just let us know. Again, we can make those changes.
Okay.
So the only change I had was in B, the last sentence says, items must be submitted to the NSSA secretary no later than noon on the Monday preceding the NSSA meeting. Do we want to keep that in there, the noon on the Monday preceding, or do we want to change that to a different deadline?
So I actually put on there, is this enough time?
Okay.
The way the
And I-
world's going right now, no.
Well, and I'm wondering, it does say the North Santiam, so NSSA secretary is responsible for creating and processing the agenda and agenda materials. This would be all the documents no later than Monday. It probably should be even maybe a couple days before the weekend. So it gives whoever's the secretary a chance to actually have a weekend to do it if they needed to. Because it comes up really quickly if it comes in on noon at Monday. So could we say maybe the Friday preceding the meeting?
Sure.
Because here's the things that we have to do. We have to public notice it, and we have to put it on the website and all of those pieces. Does that give enough time? I'm asking for real for everybody. I don't know if that gives enough time to do all of those pieces.
Well, and then
But,
for,
I think it should be 7 days in advance of meetings. That way, if we have a town hall, a work session or anything like that, it kind of applies to everything. And 7 days in advance, like you said, that's still kind of tight depending on how complex everything is.
you're talking about posting it 7 days to meet public meeting law of as much time as
No,
possible, or,
For you to have it
okay.
7 days in advance.
That could be tricky.
Might need more time than that, huh?
I mean, that's what we have to do at my office is 7 days before.
Yep. Yeah, we're required a 7-day notice, so.
So then, so I think the 7 days, I think is where we're at. So the proceeding, so 7 days preceding the meeting or something like that
Okay.
is the goal.
All right.
So that means though that, and I just want to clarify what this means. So that means, let's talk about it from a personnel, Janet is then responsible for getting all the agenda all together. The packet's completely assembled, which means the financial pieces, it means any staff reports, it means anything like that together, and then giving it out to the entire group. And then under B, it says the North Santiam's an NSSA chair or 2 NSSA members may direct the secretary in writing to place an item on there. I just want to make sure that that's clear. Did anybody have any questions about that? And is that okay?
I know for our council, you can't direct Stacy to put something on it. You have to go through the chair and or the vice chair to get that approval. So
Okay.
I think to follow that chain, we probably need to change that.
Okay.
Unless you trust me not to put, cookie decorating on the agenda sometime.
And that was part of the reason why I didn't want anybody to be directing anybody if there wasn't, if there wasn't specific discussion on that.
Yeah, I think that should have a 7-day time period too, not just the Monday proceeding.
So do you think maybe it has to be,
Well, wait a minute. It says during any meeting, during any scheduled meeting. We do that anyway. Everybody throws out items. So that's actually already kind of protocol. I think what I was thinking was outside of the meeting,
Mhm.
if somebody decides they want to discuss something. So I apologize.
No, I agree. That's on B. That's just one above that. Because I think if we're all in a meeting together, if you guys are all in a meeting together, if the chair doesn't want to approve that and say, yeah, put that on the schedule, the chair is going to say no, right? Say, oh, we need to, not do that. So I think that's fine. I'm just more thinking of, Janet, if you get a request randomly from Shelley or from Jeff Yohe saying, hey, I want to talk about some new bricks, let's put them on there.
Mhm.
I don't necessarily want you to have to put that on the agenda if the chair is not okay, or a vice chair.
Yes, agree.
Okay, so Joel, do you have that down?
Yeah, so I'll strike that.
Thank you.
Hey, excuse me, Dale, do you have that information in the email that I sent you with the board rules and policies?
I'm right now looking at the one that Joel sent. Let me go back and look.
For whatever reason, nothing's coming up.
So Ken, I'm also looking at the old one too, because I'd already marked it up.
Well, I sent it out. I swear I did, but my phone's not giving me the information.
That
Yeah,
sounds really personal.
Yeah, I'm not showing any attachments on that email from the 12th, Ken.
Okay, he ran away. I don't know if you can see him.
Go to a different contraption.
Yeah, there no attachment on that email from the 12th, Ken.
I apologize to everybody.
That's all right.
No, it's not, because
So Dale, you need the board rules and policies that we're talking about?
Jeff Smith needs them.
Okay,
And
let
Dale,
me
it
see if
sounds
I
like.
can shoot them over to you.
And Joel, under E is where I had the next thing. Did you have any other comments on this one at all? I just had on E, I put ask, and F, I put ask.
Okay.
About
6 months.
agenda not placing on future agenda for consideration within 6 months after it was placed on a board agenda. Action was taken. So like say if somebody didn't win something, I guess that's what it is, may not be placed on future agenda for consideration within 6 months of such action unless either directed by a majority of the North Santiam Sewer Authority to the secretary during the scheduled meeting or directed by the chair or at least one member. So this is, I think it needs to be consistent, of course, with the previous, with the chair or vice chair.
Okay. Yeah.
So we're talking about previously considered things that, and I'm asking around on this one. They're saying this is a situation like example, when Gates had their difficulties with getting sitting people on the board. I would be hesitant to say you have to wait 6 months. I mean, I guess the chair could renegotiate that, but that's up to you guys. So it pretty much says if we go through an action and it's an adverse action to somebody else's request, they can't get it back on for at least 6 months unless the chair or vice chair say yes. That's what that says, right?
I think this just says the chair, right?
Which one you on?
Sure, we're on E for, section 110, and then E.
I kind of feel that's a little strict considering we're just building. I mean, once we probably get everything in place and we're up and running, with everything in the ground, that would be good. But I think right now we need to have some type of a carve out in it.
6 months is a long time.
Jeff, did you get that email?
Yes, I did. I'm
Awesome.
looking at it right now.
We're on
Thank you.
section 110, letter E.
Thank you.
Thank you, Janet.
Mm-hmm. I think we're small enough. Do we need that?
I just don't like the 6 months.
I mean, do we want to make it a month and then it's kind of pointless to have, but I mean, if we ever need to change it, it's there. I mean,
2
I don't-
months?
Well, I would say, here's the thing. I would just clarify that there's some flexibility on that. It just sounds very rigid, right? But if the chair is willing to look at it again, we maybe just need to be that more clear. But that's, I mean, we're trying to think about what's going to happen in the future, right? When these discussions get kind of tough.
And if we have to look at something again quickly, we need to do it fast and not wait for 6 months.
Well, but it has that in there.
yeah, it has the
It just
unless.
is worded real rigidly.
That's why I don't,
So Joel, what I'm hearing is, can we soften that language a little bit? And
Big-
just make sure it's very clear that the chair has the ability, and maybe it's the chair, vice chair, like we do above. Maybe it's,
Okay.
something like that,
yes.
Sure.
just so
What-
it's clear.
What if we installed some kind of language referring to emergency or expedient situations?
Was there an emergency clause in here? I believe there was.
Yeah, I
For
think so.
special meeting and emergency meetings. There is one, Dale, it's on the second page.
Okay,
So we'll get to that in just a second.
okay.
And so then the next one under E, that second paragraph, in all cases, at least one member of the North Santiam Sewer Authority whose requested item be renewed on an agenda shall have been on the prevailing side. So this is where that gets kind of complicated, right? So if somebody wants to change their vote is really what it sounds like. So the question is, do you guys want that piece in there?
I'd be okay with striking that paragraph.
Mhm.
Okay, I don't hear any objection to striking that.
Okay.
Yeah, no.
Okay, I've got to go to city council. So it was short, but it was sweet. Thank you, everybody.
And-
Thanks,
and
Dale.
I'll have this recorded for you, so if you do want to look at it later, and we can make sure we get all of your needs in there, okay?
All right, thank you, ma'am.
Yep, thank you.
Thanks,
Bye,
Dale.
Dale.
All right. Bye, Dale.
Okay, are we good for section 120?
Yes.
I had a question on the first line, of course.
Of course.
I was really good when I was reading this because these questions are great. It says, the North Santiam Sewer Authority will hold at least 4 meetings a year. I just asked, is this consistent with the IGA, with the intergovernmental agreement? Does anybody know?
Don't know.
I
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah, we said minimum of 4 meetings a
Yeah,
year, but we
minimum
would
4
do
meetings a year.
monthly.
Yeah,
Yeah,
one
I
every
just wanna make
quarter.
sure. I just
Yeah,
want to make
that
sure that
was-
I didn't miss that.
nope.
And then it says all regular meetings are held on the first Thursday of each month. And then we have been saying except July. So I don't know if we need to say in general, all regular meetings are held. Instead of all regular meetings,
Okay.
kind of qualifying it just a tiny bit.
Yeah.
Gosh. Governmental critiquing.
She's a stickler.
Gotta love it. Hey,
So sorry.
we learn a lot.
I apologize up front.
Thank you.
Well, with
and then-
public meeting stuff, you got to be very careful so we don't get challenged or we don't contradict the law.
Right. And so that's the reason we might need to clarify that language just a bit. And then on that next line, it says all regular meetings, and I put all regular public meetings. That doesn't even have to go in there. I just put that in there when I was thinking about it.
We can add it just to be on the safe side. I mean,
We have decided, we
think it
decided
needs-
on doing rotation meetings just to keep the public more informed and the ability to attend.
I vote on adding public between meeting and regular just for that clarification. If somebody will ask.
Keep that rotation in there.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
It's just
Great.
adding.
And if there's a question, maybe Joel, we just say we intend to do this. So then at least our intent is on there, but it can't necessarily be challenged. Does that make sense?
for the regular public meetings.
So no, say like when it's in rotation. So I believe that is in the IGA already, but right now we're having Zoom meetings. That's technically not in rotation, right?
Yeah.
But we don't want to, in the future, give a place to challenge that. Does that make sense?
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Maybe put some type of unless a state of emergency
Okay.
or a situation causes.
Well, it
Yeah.
does say, it says, or other such location as NSSA may be by motion, ordinance, or designate, which I thought was good. I think that's good, because that says you can choose to change it if you need to.
Okay.
And under B of the next one, this is under the about midway down the paragraph, it says these meetings are informational and no formal action for work sessions. I very much appreciated you putting that in there. I think those were really, really helpful. Then the next line says that NSSA chair may allow any citizen, and I would also add invite or allow. So we can actually have other people that are maybe specialists come in and talk.
Okay.
But we need to make sure if it is a work session and we've invited somebody and there's other people in the room, that it's clear that only the invited person can participate, not the rest of the room.
Okay.
That actually, I think that NSSA chair may allow any invited citizen to participate in the discussion at the work session, but only as recognized by the chair. So I think, do you think that clarifies that, Janet?
Yes.
Okay. Because then it says the chair may end citizen participation in a work session in order to allow for them to proceed.
I think I'm just thinking out loud, so I apologize.
No, please think out loud. That's how I had to do it.
And I think I had a trail on sentence here where I just need to delete the or the that very first sentence I think is a very long one. A work session, blah blah blah. It goes like 4 lines and then ends with session by the NSS chair or NSS secretary or the, and then there's a period. So I think I'll just strike the last or the. Do you see? Okay.
Yep.
Cool.
And then I went down to D. Does anybody have anything before D?
No.
Okay. So down to D, it says emergency meeting. It says 2 hours before it's convened. I just want to make sure that that is comfortable with everybody, because that is not something we've discussed. If there's truly an emergency, now I'm thinking fires, right, related?
Yeah.
I would have
think-
previously said like, well, 24 hours. No, after the fires, it's,
Yeah.
we
And I
need to
can't
be able to move
remember,
quickly.
I don't think there is a time specified in public meeting law.
Isn't it
just-
1 hour?
Does it break down to 1 hour? Okay,
2 hours is fine.
Do we need to do 1 hour? I'm just looking at, it takes 30 minutes for any of us to get together at the very least. That's in my head, that's what I'm thinking. And I would like to at least give everybody the opportunity to be there if there was a real emergency, you know?
2
yeah.
hours is better. 2
Yeah,
is
because a
better.
lot of us are involved with the city council, so when an emergency happens, you know, we get our families out and then we rock into that mode. So it would kind of be going that direction.
Jeff, are you okay with the 2 hours?
Yeah, that sounds okay, I guess.
All right.
I know, Jeff, none of us were given a full 2 hours last time, were we?
No.
Not even 2 minutes.
Yeah, I know.
Even. So the closed meeting, I didn't actually underline anything on this one, but I just said, I really like the fact that it says details discussed in the closed meeting shall be considered confidential and shall not be discussed or disclosed outside the meeting. I really appreciate that language. It's just super clear.
Yes.
Ain't nobody talking. So I think that's good.
Don't we also have to read in the executive meeting, closed meeting statute and explain, you simply just explain that, nothing leaves the room too?
Before the meeting?
So I think it's under, I think that might be under this section under executive session.
Okay, never mind then, I'll be quiet.
And well,
Oh.
and if not, we'll add that language at the end. Because I remember there was that session there too.
Yeah, because I don't think we can just have a closed door meeting and keep it confidential without something that falls within one of those statutes.
That's right. Okay, so that's good. Joel, we'll have to probably make sure we're like putting that together with the executive session for a
Okay.
closed meeting.
Yeah.
I think wait, I think they're talking about closed meeting. Maybe we need to pay attention to this a little bit more. Let me read this differently. So let's read it like the meeting is ended. That's recess though, right? That's not a closed
Yep.
meeting.
Well, that's adjourn or
Well, but if you're going to continue to talk about something, you adjourn out of your regular meeting and you read the disclosure, you adjourn. And then you start the next meeting and you read that disclosure again. So it can be at the same time, but there's a definite break. And there's also a break in how it's recorded. You have to have 2 separate files for each meeting because it can be obtained through public records request, but your regular meeting goes right out. So this one you want to have, but you don't want to have them together. Makes sense?
so
A little lost because I thought after you adjourned the meeting and you kept going, you couldn't talk about.
We're talking about a closed meeting where public is not eligible to be there.
And the closed
Right.
meeting would be discussing what?
One of
Personnel.
them, Mill City,
Okay.
personnel, Mill City does possible looking at buying more property around a park or something.
Legal issues.
Yeah, legal issues.
okay.
We do that
Okay,
with
now
our
I-
attorney all the time.
now I kind of have a question though. So yeah, I agree. Closed meeting is about like, firing and hiring and that kind of stuff. But I think executive session is more about if we're going to buy property or have legal counsel, right? So I don't know, maybe we need to word this a little bit different so it's real clear. I don't know.
What
Let's-
we can talk about in a closed meeting? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Well,
Okay.
there's only
Yeah, just-
specific things that you can actually talk about in a closed meeting.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
they're under state statute. And that's what Janet is saying, is that you actually have to say, we're going into a closed meeting or we're going into an executive session. Here is the provision in state law that allows for us to go into this executive session. And typically it'll, it has a like 593.J, F, K, L, M, K, Y.
Yeah.
It like goes through all of these things you have to say, right?
Mhm.
And so you close your first meeting,
Yes,
then you reopen the executive session, but you can, not have public there. You can't deny media for the most part.
right. You can't.
But
That's
yeah,
executive session.
yes.
Mhm.
Yeah, no, I think for personnel, for any type of review or starting to talk about dismissal and so forth, you have to give the personnel notice that it's going to be happening. You can't have a meeting without them there to discuss it.
Right.
And I believe that is, I think we do it. I think we say we have to do that through an executive meeting.
So Joel, if we could maybe go back and just look to make sure we're not duplicating
Yeah.
between a closed meeting and executive meeting, especially if we're having all this conversation on it now.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Okay, I'll look at
Joel.
it.
And then quorum and voting. So I'm 1-130. Is anybody else there?
Mhm.
We're here.
So on the second sentence, it says a majority of all of the members, and I said appointed or actually in the positions. So like if we have some openings, we have to kind of figure out what that looks like. If it's positions or if it's quorum, if you're going to have a quorum of the people that attend. So I just want to make sure that that's clear, like for voting purposes. If you have a majority
Oh,
of the people that are in attendance or a majority of the board as a whole.
yeah.
So that needs to be clarified.
That's
Majority
hard.
of the board. Mhm.
So that means though, if you have some positions that are not filled, so if you have 2 empty positions, that means your quorum is still 5. And so if you had 1 person, no, you'd have to have 2. Now, how many would you have to have? Let me higher math here. 2 down, 6. So you then would have to have 4 people vote for something for it to pass. That's what happened with Gates, right? There was one where they
Yeah,
had, it was tie, tie, tie
yep.
over and over and over
That's
again.
exactly what it was.
So members present, is that where we're leaning? The majority of the members present?
Okay, what constitutes a member and what constitutes a board member?
And that's the other question I put that. Again,
Because
the
those
ones
are
that are
the-
in positions or the appointments. So if there are 6 appointments, 8 positions. That makes sense?
Why can't we just put board members?
We just need to be specific about that. Because then
So,
it's the appointed members. It's the ones that are officially sitting on the board.
Right.
Potentially could be 6, even though there's 8 positions.
so say I quit council and quit everything tomorrow,
Mhm.
and Shelley leaves up there in Detroit. So now you've got 2 empty spots in opposite cities. So it's 8 members. So we're still going to require that 5 for a minimum quorum.
Out of 6.
That's for a
You see?
quorum, but for a,
That's for voting. We're still going to require that quorum no matter how many people are missing. So if we get down to 4 board members, we have no way to vote.
yeah, none. Can't, yeah.
So that's what you're thinking. If
No
we're that low, we
decisions.
need to fill the positions.
So 6, that leaves 5. 5, we could still have a meeting. But if you're down to, but if you're, let's say you're at 5, that's a quorum.
If we say it by positions and not necessarily by members,
Yeah.
that causes more problems, right? So can we look at this one again? Because I think we might need some more brain power on that one.
But
Go ahead.
if you're in a
Think it out.
position to represent your community, then you're on the board.
The positions are open whether or not someone's appointed to them.
So we had Gates for how many months that they had a vote on the board. However, they did not have membership on the board. So they were voting members. However, they had not appointed anyone. And at that point, we still required that 5-person quorum, even though we were missing 2 people on the board.
We might have to go back to the intergovernmental agreement and see what we
Okay.
put in there. Because I know we had something already thought through, and that
Is
might be
that
our
on our-
starting point.
Put on our website.
It's not,
Okay. I don't think
not,
any of
not
us
with
got
that
a sign.
detail. Yeah, not with
Okay.
that detail. It
Okay.
just says what a quorum is, and it says, you know, what a vote looks like, but it doesn't talk about the difference between a position versus a director, a board of directors.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Ken, we'll
I'm
draw it out.
lost. I'm lost. Okay, you guys got,
So we're
I'm not an attorney.
You know, do you want to know the problem here? We're all thinking through every problem that we've ever had in government.
Yeah, 1, 2, 3. 3 of them right there. 3 government. No, I mean, it's serious. No, this is good. It's good, but position or a board member.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have Stacy send me a copy of the agreement. I know she kept a copy of it. And as soon as
Oh.
I get it, I'll shoot it out.
I have it.
Oh, you do?
Yep.
And I don't have a final, I looked for it and I don't either.
Give me half a second. I can know exactly where it's at.
You're the best.
I'm going to send it to you, Janet. If you could just send it out to everybody else, that'd be great.
Yep.
Thank you.
Because I no longer have my group set up.
And it's coming from my personal email, guys, because as Ken knows, I'm technically challenged at this point in time, and I do not remember my city password, so I can't get it on my personal computer.
You just sent it to her.
Well, if you send it to one phone, I send it to the computer. If you send it to the computer, I end up sending it to the phone. So just depending on the group.
So I'll send you the Mill City one.
Okay.
And let me just double check to make sure there's not something else I'm missing here. Yeah. What I was explaining to Ken earlier is that all of my emails where I just normally used to be able to send it to the group, it does not do that anymore.
Uh-oh.
I have to individually do every single one every time. So I'm
Yeah,
just,
you ought to hear
and
how
I have to
many,
go search it.
you
So
ought
it's
to
not-
hear how many unread emails she has.
You should see what I have at the office. I finally got mine cleaned out. Let me see, session deadline was Tuesday, so I finally got mine cleaned out midday. And then I was handed the 988 crisis line bill for my fiscal. I'm the analyst there. And I was suddenly up to 250 emails again. I don't know how many of them at this point I haven't touched, but if it doesn't say 988 on it, I ain't touching it.
Yeah.
All right.
So I don't have anything under the first paragraph of the 1140, but the executive session, I think we should probably put examples on there of what constitutes, what kinds of things are in executive sessions. And then at least, if nothing else, the provision of law that we're going to have to look to. So we'll know.
Okay, I'm going to send that out to the group that's here right now.
Okay.
Okay, send button pushed.
And then under the executive session, it talks about information discussed at executive sessions considered confidential and should remain so until the take action in the public session. Any final action resulting from executive session must be taken during the public session. Do you guys want, and maybe Janet, you need to help me answer this one. Can you talk about things that happen in executive session outside of just the decision?
No. To the
Okay.
best of my knowledge, you cannot. The decision rendered is the only thing you can discuss.
Yeah, it's not for, yeah, you can't do that.
So then I think we need to be very specific in there that other than the decision, the discussion can't be publicized or talked about, right?
Correct. Because some of that discussion can get pretty detailed and personal.
It's just the final decision.
Okay.
The final action is the only thing that can be discussed in public,
Right.
not necessarily the decision-making pathway to get there.
Yeah. But that, like I said before, that tape can be obtained through public record laws. I don't know what hoops people have to jump through, but they can.
Okay.
Under work session agenda, I wrote on here, this one I'm not sure what I wrote on here. It says discussion of consent items, review or discussion of items that are by nature routine and typically require little or no deliberation. I said, or required, things that are not requiring detailed, lengthy explanations.
Okay.
Okay, I pulled up that part about the quorum.
Janet, what section is that?
It's section 6 of the agreement. And it says each director shall have one vote. A majority of all the directors on the board shall constitute a quorum required for deliberation and decision-making. All decisions of the board, unless otherwise provided herein, shall require at least a majority of the directors voting in favor of a motion.
That's exactly what we needed. Thank you. So section 6 of the IGA says that. See, we already thought of that.
Well, now we know.
Yeah. And under executive session 4, that's where I put the disclosure after I put question mark, so.
And that Janet, that's a different disclosure than closed meeting, right?
You can only discuss your final decision in an executive or closed session.
So I think the name of the session is a closed session, but it's not a closed meeting. Does that make sense? Executive session is the actual provision of law, but it's called a closed session because it's not open to the public.
Okay, so it's just a wording
thing.
thing. Okay, so closed and exec are the same, and open and public are the same.
Pretty much.
We call them different things, I guess.
Semantics.
I call it, yeah.
I like the next one. It says we're adjourned. Have a nice night, guys.
See ya.
Right. I was like, I'm so sorry, we're only on page 3, guys. Okay. So call to order officially chairs the meeting, and then presentations, declaration of conflicts. Do we want to put that on early? So between 1 and 2?
Yes.
Wait, oh, should I add that for part C that these are public meetings? I mean,
Yep.
okay. Okay, sorry.
Yep. And so I put announcements and declaration of conflicts. We've had those 2 in there, if that's okay.
Okay.
And then under 3, it says that there shall not be cumulative more than 30 minutes of discussion for persons to be heard. I think that, I'm just going to throw this out there. I think that's really rigid, especially in a hot topic. You might want a lot more than just 30 minutes.
So we need to put something in there about the chair or vice chair, presiding officer, whoever that may be, can extend
Or limit, do the opposite direction. Say, you know, that if the chair decides that we only need 30 minutes for the discussion, then they can say that 30 minutes, right? But if the chair says we need to actually have 3.5 hours of discussion, first of all, we'll all be mad at them, but
Yeah.
Can we change
But-
that to presiding officer? Because what if Tim and Ken are gone and we're still holding a meeting?
yep.
Again, it's just a semantic, but it could be challenged. What do you think? You could put chair and then in parentheses or in parentheses behind it, presiding officer.
Okay.
Is that okay, Danielle?
No, that's good.
You know how people get when they want to challenge something, so.
Well, and I think the discussion around the table is always to be, we want more public input, right? Not less. And so I would say, just reflecting on what everybody said here, that we're trying to be as flexible as possible, not inflexible. But the chair, if the chair has to pull the plug on discussions because they're lasting 4 hours, and they're not being fruitful or germane, then it might be something. And maybe that's the other thing, is maybe we need to add language of, you know, if it's germane to the topic at hand,
Okay.
you know. So I don't know where that belongs, but just a thought.
Don't get me upset, fellow board members, or we could have a 4-hour conversation.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm
well, you know
retired.
what? We can find you anywhere you think you can hide. And I don't know about the rest of them, but I know I can be sneaky. I have a feeling Danielle can be pretty sneaky, so.
Okay,
So consent agenda. So for this one below here, I just put on there what types of things go into a consent agenda, examples, but not specific specifications, like acceptance of financial reports, previous meeting notes, bills to be paid, those types of things, etc. Trying to use this as a working document, as you can tell, as well.
mhm.
Are you guys okay with me just completely dominating here? Are you guys speaking up anytime there's something you have?
Yeah, when we
You're not
see something, we'll let you know.
Okay, so then under number 8, all I put in questions mark is this order okay? So is this order okay for the regular meeting? So we have call to order, declaration, announcements, presentations, persons to be heard, consent agenda, old business, new business, discussion items, executive session if needed,
Right.
and adjourn. Does the executive session, does that need to be higher up in the discussion? That's
Oh,
what I
yeah.
wasn't sure.
Usually that's what Mill City does is they announce at the beginning of the meeting that the meeting will be followed by an executive session. And that's all it said. And then we get down to just before adjournment, you have the executive session, and then you just read that blurb out and close the meeting. So I don't know that you wanted any up higher so people start asking questions.
Well, Detroit's also had its executive session, everybody left, and then when it was done, they invited them back in.
Yes, yes, you do. You come back into session, and if people want to come back in, and that's usually if the board has made a decision they want to announce right then and there.
Right.
So,
So do you want that up higher?
On the agenda?
Yeah.
I don't think so, personally.
so if we're in exec session discussing something that we need to vote on, will we just go back into public session at the very end?
You
Is that the-
cannot vote.
Yeah.
You
In-
cannot vote in executive session. You can have concurrence and then make the vote when you come out of executive session.
So if we have an executive session and then we want to vote on something, that's what I'm asking. Will we go back into public session?
Right.
Yep,
All right.
Tim will for sure. We'll blame it all on Tim.
So you have to go back into public,
We have to go back in and then.
You have
Can't
to do a
blame it on
reset.
me.
It's always you. You can't vote in executive session.
Well, yeah.
So there was something about a recessed meeting under section 11120 about recessed meetings, and that any meeting of the North Santiam Sewer Authority may be recessed for a later time, provided no recess shall be more than 24 hours. So to me, that recess is actually, you would recess the one, go into your executive session, and then open the meeting back up afterwards. And it better not last 24 hours, but if there is like something that's high negotiations, it sometimes does happen where you say, we're going to take a recess until 8 o'clock in the morning the next day.
Right.
That happens. It will not happen, but it could.
It will not. I love it.
I'm sorry, my confusion's coming from our board meetings. We go public and then exec is 2.5 hours, and then we go into public to vote on it. And so to me, exec means more, but for these meetings, I would probably won't need to go into exec very often.
Really.
Okay.
Hi,
And
Tim.
Sorry I'm late. Just got home.
Not a
that's
problem.
okay. We've waited for you. We did nothing. So no, just kidding.
You're
No,
going to be here until midnight and it's your fault.
no. Dale already had to go to city council. They had their city council at 7. So
right.
he left for that. Under section 1150. So Janet, can you make sure Tim has what we're looking at?
Yeah, I'll send it.
Section 1150, general procedures. I don't know if we just want to highlight this, is that we're using Robert's Rules of Orders as the guidelines without being a requirement. I wasn't sure about this language.
It's a general guideline, not,
We
Right.
don't want to do a regular.
no,
Right.
we don't want to follow.
Yeah, nobody's an expert on it. So,
Right.
yeah.
So I would actually just highlight it in some way, that particular piece. So just because then it removes the ability for people to specifically go to Robert's Rules of Order and say, you didn't do this exact parliamentary procedure, right? And say, no, we use that as a guideline, not necessarily our guidepost.
Okay.
And then there was nothing else for me on that page. So.
Move fast.
quick. And then H on the next page, top of the next page. Where it says motions, it says motions may be made by any member, including chair. Any member of the North Santiam Sewer Authority may make a second motion. And then I put on there who roll calls, so who collects the vote information. We probably need to capture that in this piece right here.
Secretary captures.
Yep.
Okay.
Tim, it's the second one I sent you, the NSA board.
And
board rules. I sent you the
ordinance
IGA
first,
also.
ordinance
Yeah, the
402.
Yeah.
Ah, here we go.
Yeah, I sent you 2 emails.
Yep, got him.
We're on 150H.
And then I'm down to L. Does anybody have anything before L? So under voting, it says all members must either vote yay or nay. So this is something that has happened in the Canyon just recently. So I want to make sure that that's clear. You can either vote yay or nay. And unless you're recusing yourself because of a conflict of interest, you must vote yay or nay. That's that. I just want to make sure, is that clear with everybody, and is that okay?
Yeah.
Yay or
Tim,
nay?
you're on. Tim, you're on mute.
Okay.
He's chewing.
No, I got Teresa and Natalie in the background over here, so I muted it. You can hear me now?
Yep.
Okay. So yes, I agree. Everybody should vote. I've seen too many times where somebody just doesn't want to make the call or call it in front of other people or whatever. So no, everybody should vote their conscience.
Yay or nay?
Right.
Yes.
No,
And
They
then it
have to
no
have a real
abstentions.
conflict. They have to
Right.
have a real conflict. Just not want to make a vote on it doesn't count.
Right.
So that language is actually in there. It says one person can recuse themselves, but that also means that they don't count towards quorum. Recusing yourself doesn't necessarily say that there's a conflict of interest. And so we have to change out that language. So it's not just recusing, it's specifically that there is a conflict of interest.
Or a potential conflict of interest.
Yes.
Okay.
Now, go back to what you said. If they recuse themselves, the member is not counted as present for quorum purposes.
Correct. So we're down 1 person for a quorum.
So I would actually strike that out completely. Don't let people recuse themselves. I would ask them recuse themselves only for a stated conflict of interest from the very beginning.
So I've heard it too many times. I'm not going to vote on that because I don't want to be part of the decision.
Yeah.
But if they're informed, then they are part of the decision.
That's a coward's way out. So
Yeah. And
But
I've seen
heard
that.
it on many meetings, Tim,
Yep.
especially in the
me too.
Canyon lately.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's why I'm saying we need to make sure that this one's really clean.
Okay, I'll add that.
And that's why getting all the information out ahead of
Yeah.
time and everything else.
And again, stated conflict of interest. Like they have to say why there's a conflict of interest.
Stated potential conflict.
Yeah, conflict
Okay.
or potential conflict of
Okay.
interest,
Okay.
right? You know, if your brother-in-law happens to be somebody that's going to get a benefit from it, that is a stated or potential conflict of interest. And that would be an appropriate use.
Okay.
And then there was another question about absenteeism on that one. So I think we fixed that in the previous IGA, so I'm just going to check that off when we talked about the quorum.
And I believe the IGA specifically talks about attendance to the meetings, if I remember correctly.
I believe so, it does.
I have too many windows open.
Okay. So I'm now on to number 4 on the following page. So under 160, number 4. Let me read through what I was saying here.
Oh, vice chair.
Yeah. The NSA chair is the official spokesperson for all matters, unless absent, at which time the co-chair. And again, we have to change those to vice chairs.
Yes.
Or appropriate designee will assume the role. So we have the communication person. So we have to say communication designee.
Where are you seeing that at?
Number 4.
On 160? Oh, sorry.
Yeah,
I'm down so far.
160.
Okay.
You want me to number these pages?
No,
So
I didn't see I
No,
went
no,
down
I'm-
too far.
No, I'm not. I mean,
Yes,
okay.
in real. Yeah. Yeah. I actually numbered mine so I wouldn't get lost.
Yeah, all this number. Yeah, it's easy.
That was totally me going too far.
Oh, no, you're fine.
And then it says the views represented by the chair and the vice chair in the absence should be equitable representation and represent the majority will of the board. We have to be very specific that if they are communicating in this role, they are communicating as the majority of the board. See, Ken, now you're going to find why people don't like to work with me. I'm very sticky on these.
We have to be. I mean, I'm the same way when it comes to the rules
Yeah.
for stuff like this, because your heinies be slung into a courtroom.
Totally understand. Just carry a big stick. You rule.
Says the chair. Okay.
I
Oh,
think most of us can run faster than you can, so I'm not worried about that.
oh.
So the next one I had was under responsibilities and then one,
Oh.
each member is responsible for being prepared to discuss the agenda.
Yes.
I think we should also put in what time frame that the board members should get their packets so they have enough time. So if we can say Monday of the week of the meeting, so you'll have 4 days or 3 days to review. That's enough time. Is that correct for everybody?
That should, in almost every circumstance, be plenty of time.
Okay.
Yes.
But I
No,
do think we should put it in the rules so it kind of
Yeah,
solidifies
yeah,
that.
no later than Monday before.
So I can see Janet out there at midnight sending sending emails.
8 a.m. No later than 8 a.m.
Oh,
No,
now
you
you're
don't
just
wanna
being rude.
That's you. That's Mr. I get text messages 7 a.m. with Ken sometimes. Here we go.
I have gotten calls at 6:30 and 6.
Uh-huh.
Okay, under now under 5 in the second group, it says, but each member may only speak once. I don't know if you actually want to enforce that.
Number 5.
Yeah, 5, it says any member may appeal a ruling by the chair to the North Santiam Sewer Authority as a whole. If the appeal is second, the person making the appeal may make a brief statement and the chair may respond. The appeal may generally be debated by members, but each member may only speak once.
We're not doing debate, team.
Well, I would say, you know, the chair can call for the discussion to close, but I would hesitate to say you can only speak once.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, but,
Somewhat, Tim.
yeah, I can see where, for the most part, that'd be great, but there'll be times where you're gonna lose some substance because somebody failed to mention something that was, let's say if the chair did their rebuttal or whatever, that could bring up a new valid point, but we don't want to, like I say, discussions and arguments and debates to go on into the wee hours of the morning either.
Right.
But what if the participant forgets something and has to go back?
Yeah, that's why I think
Yeah.
not requiring them only a chance to speak once, especially if they're trying to make their point. It's tough when you're trying to make your own point.
Uh-huh.
And when you get old like me.
Yeah,
So
Hey,
maybe the language, Joel, looks something like an appeal may generally be debated by members and are encouraged to speak only once
Okay.
instead, because then it's not may. It just, I would say then they're encouraged.
you know, you can put something in there if the debate becomes cumulative or redundant, a vote of the members can close the debate or something, I don't know. But we have those kind of rules at public hearings, you know, if the chair has the ability to shut down people that are talking if they're saying the same thing the person before them said, so
Yeah.
I don't know if there's any way to put in redundant or cumulative kind of discussion.
Repetitive discussion.
Yeah, but where it just keeps adding up, same thing. So somebody trying to get their point across thinks everybody isn't hearing them, so they say the same thing over and over again.
In a
But we
different
really
way.
hear you, we just don't agree.
We've
So
never had meetings like that.
it's very seldom that happens. That's true.
Okay.
But I don't know.
Be right back.
Under number 7, it has when the NSSA member is appointed to serve as a liaison to the board, committee, or commission, the member is responsible for keeping the members informed of significant activities of the board, committee, or commission. The appointed member should report the actions to the board, committee, or commission during a work session of the NSSA. Is that saying a board meeting, committee, or commission? We need to have lots of different ways to be able to communicate that information. We just want to make sure it's shared amongst everybody, though. So if they have to report it back at a board meeting or a committee or work session, I think just
the board
the,
meeting.
yeah, a
Yeah.
board meeting or work session, or even a shared email is not terrible.
Okay. Okay.
I just want to make sure it's equitable, that everybody on the board gets the same information.
Either
Right.
in a meeting or via email. Okay.
Can you do it via email? Am I missing something, Tim?
No, you can, just as long as that person is just making a report. You just can't have everybody commenting back and forth
Discuss.
afterwards.
Yep.
So they can do an official little report via email.
Okay.
Okay. Via email.
What number were you on?
7.
Okay. Yeah, I agree. That one has been missed quite a bit lately. Informing of different meetings.
Yeah.
And Ken, what the conversation was is we want to make sure that it's equitable, that all of the members get the same information.
Right. No, I totally agree. No.
Yep.
Do we want a time limit on that within such and such time, or I mean?
Before the next board meeting or work session or something, I don't know.
Or just timely.
Or, yeah,
Okay, timely.
It's probably in here and I don't remember, but a question I have also in kind of related to that is if board members are going to be doing any speaking on behalf of the board, that they make sure that the board knows about it. So if they're attending a meeting or doing a presentation and so forth, that we also have that notification and know what's going on, so we don't speak out of turn when we didn't know somebody took care of something.
And
So
then report
that might-
timely matter.
Yeah, so that one might be under number 4 on that previous page, where it says is the chair is the official spokesperson.
so is there a place we can state in the rules too, that, so anybody that speaks at another meeting or in front of another commission has to make sure that they inform the commission that they're speaking to or whatever, that they are speaking on their own behalf, not on behalf of the board?
So we actually did the opposite. So this is a good time to
Okay.
have this conversation. We said that if they are speaking on behalf
Right,
of the organization, they have to actually represent the majority of the will of the board.
right.
But
But
if they're speaking by themselves on a personal matter,
they need to
Right.
make sure that they announce that wherever they're at, so that the other people know that they're not speaking on behalf.
But
that's a
this
good
is-
point.
this is such a hot topic in the canyon. Emotions start to play in when people start to talk about it, and there's a line between the board and what you personally feel.
Right,
I
you'd have
watched
to say
that.
something like, I'm speaking for myself and the way I feel on the board. But this is not a decision of the board, obviously.
Right.
So people have to be able to announce that so that, you can say that like right now when something happens on the city level and I get questioned about it or whatever, of course, it's already a done deal. I will tell them, the council's wisdom is to do this. I debated on the other side of it, but it was the council passed this decision. So you got to support whatever your board says, but a lot of people like to go out there and say, I didn't like it, I voted against it, and denounce it, but you can't really do that. Not if you're working as a team.
That's
So
right.
But I
Joel,
don't
do
know
you
if that
remember
falls in the
this in
same
there?
thing.
Yeah, Joel, is this in there? Do you remember?
I don't see it in here. So I was just gonna add that, they must announce any personal views are not necessarily the board's views. To
There
that
you go.
section, that 4, yeah, okay.
Yeah,
And I'm
that's great.
just speaking that because a previous situation that we had on this committee a little while back, and I'm not gonna say anything more. I'm gonna be
Right.
polite.
That's why we're trying to do this now.
Right.
Okay, so I'm under D for the next page under 12D. Citizens participation.
Yes.
I would want to, if I were on the board, I would want to say something like North Santiam Sewer Authority intent is to be open, transparent, and equitable on the citizen participation pieces.
One more time.
The North Santiam Sewer Authority intent is to be open, transparent, and equitable. And then go to if they want to address, right?
Okay.
And then on that paragraph underneath number 1, all public comments should be addressed to the chair. Each speaker will be allowed, it says maybe up to 3 minutes. And so they don't have to take the full 3 minutes if they don't want to. Up to 3 minutes to speak, and then can be extended by, and that's the question. Can it be expanded by the chair if they want to continue on, or 2 people, or that's up to the board?
I would say the chair or two board members. The chair should automatically be able to do it. But if 2 board members want it done and the chair doesn't, 2 board members together should be able to have the comment extended. I don't know, maybe 3 board members. I don't know.
No, I agree. If the chair says no and 2 board members want to,
Wait a minute, I want to hear it. Yeah.
Yeah, they want to hear it.
Okay.
I think that just goes back to that open, transparent,
Right.
piece that we, and then down to 3 under there. It says persons may present printed materials to be included in the packets 1 week prior. So again, same thing. Persons may present materials to the secretary to distribute. The question is there a process? Like, does the chair agree to those things that they have to be maybe we have to put that as germane to the conversation? And then is there a submission policy for written comments?
Well, they should be presented prior to the meeting, and then in the other sentence it says they can be presented at the meeting.
Right. So that's why we just need that clarity.
A person could say, well, And then no one has time to review.
Yeah.
And believe me, that's going on right now. Not in our situation.
I also
Yeah,
think that,
it's tough to receive stuff at the meeting that, let's face it, well, not everything is factual that we receive. So you don't have any time to fact check it or whatever at a meeting or whatever. So I think, you know, the chair or the secretary ought to be able to look at it and say whether they're able to submit it or not. I don't know.
Or
I was
put it
just
off.
gonna say that, Tim.
What's that?
I was just gonna say that is check that it's relevant and it's factual to what's there, not just.
Right.
Anything
I'm not gonna bring
presented
up this-
at the meeting could be,
It has to be presented to the chair, the secretary and the chair, and they determine whether it should be distributed or something. I don't know. You know, we really don't have a lot of problems with that. I think most of our board members are, being most of our board members are counselors or used to going to meetings and seeing stuff like that anyway.
Mhm.
Are not going to be easily swayed, but we just want to make it so it's clean and the meetings go smoothly and stuff, right? Basically, I would say.
and everybody understands.
Right.
And then no person attending the NSSA meeting shall delay the proceedings or refuse to obey orders of the presiding officer. I don't think we even need to put chair or vice chair at that point. It's just whoever's presiding over the meeting.
Right. Moving right along.
We're so close.
How did that go? So close, but no cigar?
Yes. Okay, media relations under 170. So it's under D. It is requested all reporters new to meetings meet with it says NSSA secretary or the designated media relations person. So do we want to just put chair or the communications designee prior to first covering the meeting?
Or both.
I
Or
don't know.
both.
Yeah. I'll need information just for the minutes and so forth, but your communications person and your chair are gonna be the ones that are gonna be that relations builder.
So who should they contact? The reason is I want there to be a clear person that they contact to arrange the media. Should it be the communications person?
I would say that.
And then that they bring the information to the secretary and to the chair to say, hey, we've
Yes.
gotten this request from the media.
Yes. Before the meeting.
Not after it starts?
It might happen that way. I mean,
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Or we can say anybody but Tim.
then not it. Okay. And then I think, and maybe Joel, this is not a bad place to put that in there too when dealing with media and such, that we add that qualification about if you're speaking on behalf of the organization or are you speaking on behalf of yourself. Maybe we should put that again here when it comes to the media stuff. Under F.
Okay.
Because that does talk about, when opposing positions have been debated, regardless of the outcome, the public's better informed when all sides have the adequate coverage. And so.
Nice work, Danielle.
Now you guys know why I get so much work is because I keep making it. Okay, and then section 1180. If the NSSA is involved in litigation or legal dispute, members shall refrain from commenting on issues related to the subject outside of the official meetings until the matter is resolved.
Absolutely.
Tell them to contact Tim.
And then I can give them the official no comment.
And then my last comment under
Really?
section 1-200, policy enforcement. Says if a member of NSSA believes the policy has been violated, the topic shall be placed on a meeting agenda following proper procedure by the chair, two members. Determination of violation shall be stated. I put requested by any director or at the discretion of the chair. Do those need to be added, or do you still want to have two members that say, Mr. Chair, you are not following procedure? You know, that's the question I have. If we
You
think
meant
that
any
they've
board member,
violated.
correct, not director?
Board member, is that, you use the
I
word
think
director.
you guys are board of directors.
Oh, okay.
That's the only thing. We'll have to clean up that language too, but.
Okay.
You can be a
Well, I
member
think-
of the board but you are a director as a member of the board.
Okay, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Tim, but Robert's Rule of Order, anybody can call point of order and ask a question if they believe something's not being done properly. Am I right,
Yes.
Tim?
I do believe that is true. But so like this is, if our chair goes rogue on us or whatever, then two board members can shut them up, basically,
Mhm.
right?
Or do
But-
you want three at that point?
Well, I don't know. You might want three because you don't want, you could get, say, one city has two directors. So one city being opposed to something could shut down something. So I don't know.
Good
We
point.
kind of want, we want that in a way, but not completely, right? So they would have to be able to sway at least one person from another city if we said three.
Good point.
And another question, is this just for violations within this meeting? Our board meetings, or is this with somebody does something outside of the meeting?
Love these questions.
Yeah,
Because not only do you have this, you also have ethics laws
right.
that play in. So,
So if somebody had a rumor, somebody could bring it back. One of the board members could bring it back. But if it's a rumor, you can't.
if it's a rumor, you're probably going to get a call saying, what the hell are you doing? And then determine if it's a rumor. But if you know for sure, have the evidence firsthand yourself outside of the meeting.
So
Or am I
let's give an
thinking of something
example,
that's,
like speaking about something that was in an executive session.
Oh, they just,
that,
Right.
or somebody goes to an event that you're at and they suddenly start making public statements or an announcement on behalf of the board that is not sanctioned to be talked about, or isn't actually a decision the board has made. And I'm sorry, guys, I think of the worst thing in the world that can happen, and then I make it sound horrible, and when it doesn't happen, I'm really happy.
Yes.
well, that's where you go back when Tim
Right.
says, hey, this is my own personal deal, my own personal opinion. This is not the board. I got to watch what I have to say. This is, think for the future, blah, 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 blah. But then if that person goes to somebody else and said, well, this is what this person said.
I'm reading this policy enforcement again over and over. And really, this is just a way to get the violation presented, put it on the table. So it's saying either the chair puts it on the table or any two members can put it on the table. It's not determining the outcome of the violation itself. A determination of the violation shall be stated by majority vote of those present during the deliberation. So I think, yeah, two people ought to be able to say, hey, we've been hearing this out there, and we think it's a violation. We need to get this cleared up, or the chair himself should be able to do that. I don't see anything wrong with the wording in it.
But my question was applies in the meetings and applies to things outside of the meetings.
Right.
Perfect. Thank you.
That's what I'm thinking.
And then the question is though, 2 members or 1 member?
The chair or 2 members,
Okay.
I think. I like it. Because, yeah,
Well, I think most of us aren't going to blindside Ken with something or you with something in a meeting. I think most of us are going to have a conversation with you anyway. Therefore, it falls
Right.
into the chair or vice chair's lap.
but if it's Ken that's down at the tavern flapping his gums, 2 of us ought to be able to say, hey, Ken,
We were there.
you're out of line.
Yeah, tavern? I ain't been one of those in a long time.
Right?
Okay. So everybody seems to like that language, Joel. So let's just
I
leave
think
it
it's
as
fine
it is.
myself.
Okay.
I think people are going to, yeah, I think it's okay.
There is one more, darn it. I didn't write it down though, but I'm looking at it under section 1-220 public records. And this is more of a statement, just like we did before, where we're trying to be open and transparent, all that stuff. Public records, I think we should just also make a statement that we're trying to be transparent, open, and all of that stuff. But if there are significant time or effort that needs to be to obtain those public records,
Yep.
that there may be associated fees.
Okay.
Upon request.
Well, it's going to have to be upon written request. Yeah. Yeah. Because if we start printing a bunch of stuff up and
25 cents a copy.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, just even looking it up,
Yeah.
They want to see the records from the last 14 meetings because they're
Mhm.
looking for some phrase or something that somebody said. That can be a lot of work.
Okay.
somebody do that to me once. Remember the commission, the city planning commission. I won't mention any names.
So so Joel, for that one, I think the statement that our intent is to be transparent, but with that transparency, unfortunately, sometimes it has costs associated.
Do we want to put a public records request form on our website? And then that way it could list.
Yeah,
I don't think we need to yet. Because anybody that sends an email in, they're getting as much public information as we got. Like, and if you're putting together a form, I'm trying to, in my head, I would try to reduce the barrier to ask for information. In the future, if there's a problem, I think that's a different scenario.
Well, are we gonna have like audio files in the cloud or something that we can just, okay, you wanted the recordings from those meetings, here they are. And boom, just
I
shoot it with
have
an audio
54 meetings
file.
at 2 hours apiece.
In an
So
audio
just-
file.
Yep.
Oh, well, see, that's,
simple.
yeah.
I've got, except for, excuse me, there was 2 meetings where I had a failure, but other than that.
Okay. Well, I
So-
think we could.
I think just the comment of if it entails, there may be costs. I mean, that's reasonable. That's what's in the public
ORS.
meeting laws itself on the website.
Or maybe we just list the ORS right there. And
That'd be good. Thank you.
Every city charges.
Yeah.
There's government.
Well, and it's just mostly to kind of, like, I'll give an example. So we got a request for the dog shelter, but it was something that was really, really broad. And then when we said, well, unfortunately, we'll have to charge for that, and this is roughly how much it'd be, they're like, no, no, I don't need all of that. I just need this. And so it was able to narrow it down to actually what they needed. And we were able to answer that much more quickly, and didn't have to charge them anything because it was something that we already calculated out and had. Sometimes people ask the wrong question. Oh, Tim, you're on. Tim, you're on mute.
And
You're on mute.
Man, he had a monologue going there.
Who muted me?
Oh, there we go.
your wife.
She wishes she had access to that button.
Look out behind you.
On the other hand, there are people that will try and bog you down by asking for records requests over this and over that, and just looking to dig up some dirt or something. So yeah, they'll bog you down, take up your time. So they need to be charged for your time.
Yeah, we know people like that.
Yeah.
So let's get to the end. Is there anything that we've missed? Jeff, you were kind of quiet, so I'm assuming that all the ideas were brilliant.
Just soaking it all in. It's great.
Don't go with the last comment, brilliant, or the last word.
So Joel, we gave you lots of work, so thank you though for doing all that.
I did have one member orientation. We do have, each member is required to attend a member orientation. You want me to strike that, or is that something that we're going to start doing? Because I'm just winging it. I
think that we don't
You're
necessarily
doing a pretty good job winging it.
Yeah.
Should we replace required with encouraged? Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay, that works.
They have to have the ethics training though.
Right.
So maybe that's something we need to put in there, is that
Okay.
including an ethics training within the first whatever.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, hey, Jeff.
Nice to see you.
Hey,
So this is kind of just that first set of policies and procedures. We're obviously going to have to do like finances and budgeting and all that kind of stuff down the road. But Joel, this was wonderful. This made it
Thank you.
so much easier just to walk through. It's super organized. Great work on this.
yes.
Well, thank you guys.
That's a talent that I just cannot do. I cannot do this kind of work, and you do a great job of it. So very appreciated.
I think this, what the work you've done here will actually make the organization that much more strong.
Uh-huh.
Agreed.
Well, thank you,
On the
Daniel.
same page.
Yeah, don't hesitate. My red marks are a good thing. It means I actually read through it. When it's boring, I don't. Just so you know.
Is that red marks where you fell asleep and rubbed your forehead on it? It's like, oh.
Let's put it this way. I haven't read a book in years. Okay. In years.
Uh-huh.
So,
All right.
okay.
I'll make those changes and send it back to you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joel.
Yeah, thank
Yep.
you guys.
And sir, is there anything else we need, Mr. Chair?
Is there anything else? Members of the board?
Oh,
Tim
There
needs
we go.
nap time.
I know it. Well, I need dinner first and then nap.
I got
Yeah.
the barbecue running. All
Oh,
right. Well, since it's a work session, I don't think we need to be formal, do we?
I don't think so.
All right. So
Thanks, everybody.
thanks.
Thanks, guys.
Imagine how long this would have took in a regular meeting. It took the whole thing.
Yep.
This is awesome, getting it done. Thanks for everybody. Thank you.
All right. Good night. See you
Have a
later.
good
I'm
one.
calling you really fast.
Do
What?
what?
Okay. I'm calling Tim really fast.
Okay.
All right.
Bye.
See y'all.
I'll
See you
note it.
tomorrow morning.